We start on the Select Your Beast page. Here we get to see the full 7 beasts that our opponent has brought. 60 seconds seems like way too much time, but if you're thinking about which 5 beasts your opponent will bring and which of your 5 will counter them best, you can easily use that 60 seconds. Personally, I have a strong team and I don't alter my selections very much unless I recognize the player. Even then, I really want to force my opponent to adapt to me, not the other way around. You'll notice that 4 out of the 7 beasts on each of our teams are the same. His Voltrix is a problem because he's a strong counter to Dustclaw and Photofly, 2 of my favorite beasts. He also has 2 starter beasts that are strong against many of my favorites as well. I go for Zephyrus over Photofly because Photofly is weak to fire and Zephyrus is faster and will be strong against his Photofly. Okay, we've made our choices and the battle now begins. I've drawn Condefs. Exciting. He's a long-time Kuroro player and one of the toughest matches on the ladder. But I've faced him plenty of times before, and while this is a tough match, it's winnable. Now, before we go any further, I have linked this type chart below, and you should have it open on a second tab anytime that you're playing Beast Brawl. This will help you win a lot more matches because it shows you all of every type of beast, weaknesses, and resistances. This chart is your Bible. The very first thing that we need to do is determine the turn order of the 4 beasts that are on the field. Pro tip, hover your mouse over your opponent's beast name to see their stat ranges. Focus on the most important stat, speed. You can see your own beast's stats the same way. Assume that they have maxed out the speed stat on all but their slowest beast. Knowing the order of attacks will greatly aid you in anticipating your opponent's moves. In this case, Dustclaw has a maximum speed of 297 and Torchundo has a maximum speed of 295. My Sultan has a speed of 76 while Pumpkin has a speed of 190. That means that both of his beasts are going to act before both of my beasts, and I'm going to have to absorb 2 full attacks before either of my beasts can do anything. Sultan and Pumpkin can each take a hit. That's why I like to open with them. But often, 2 advantaged attacks against Pumpkin can take him out in a single turn. Torchundo has a light type attack, which is effective against Pumpkin. He also very likely has Victorian or Photofly on his bench because we saw them in his lineup of 7, and both of those are wind attackers. If he swaps in one of those wind attackers, the combination is going to be able to kill my Pumpkin in a single turn before Pumpkin does anything. We don't want that to happen, so we need to keep that in mind when we're acting, and we're probably not going to buff our Pumpkin on turn 1. I also know that Dustclaw plus Torchundo will not be enough to kill Pumpkin, and Pumpkin's fire AoE attack, which Condefs definitely knows about, will do some real damage to his Dustclaw. So I expect that he's going to switch out his Dustclaw and go for the double attack on my Pumpkin. And luckily I have a good counter ready. You see, we switch in our Victorian for Pumpkin. Sultan's Team Help gives a 50% buff to Victorian's Corrosion attack, which has a type advantage against Torchundo. That should be enough to OTK Torchundo and avoid his light attack altogether. That's important because if it didn't, his light attack would definitely OTK my Victorian. Surprisingly, his Dustclaw stays in and attacks my Sultan. But we do 101% damage to Torchundo and remove one of his more annoying threats. He brings in Sparkane, which is a very smart choice. Dustclaw's Dark Attack already will OTK my Victorian, but so does Sparkane's Electric Attack. Victorian is faster than both, so I can get off one attack first, but this is a dangerous spot. I shield and hope that he doesn't use this window to buff. He shields his Sparkane, so not much happens here. Now, I really should swap out my Victorian here. I have the same problem as before, but I do know that he can't shield Sparkane again. I decide to try the same move from turn 1. Team help with Vatorian and an advantaged corrosion attack from Vatorian. I know that my Vatorian will die to Dustclaw's attack, but it should kill Sparkane first. Instead, he surprises me with a swap. I lose both beasts without taking either of his. Awful turn and a clear mistake on my end. It's now my 3 beasts against his 3.5. I bring in Dustclaw and Zephyrus here. Zephyrus has a strong option against both of his beasts, so he can't be sure who I'll attack next. I assume that he's going to protect his Vatorian here with a shield, which gives me a chance to buff my Dustclaw. Acceleration doubles his speed, making him faster than even Vatorian. As long as he doesn't one-shot my Dustclaw here, I should be in really good shape. I'm correct, and he shields Vatorian. He swaps in Sparkane, but his electric AoE doesn't finish Zephyrus. I do almost no damage this turn, but the gambit worked as my Dustclaw is now a serious threat. Dustclaw's dark AoE attack will hit everyone and kill Vatorian unless it gets swapped. Second, I super switch in Pumpkin and use an earth coverage move. This won't finish Sparkane, but I only need him to be weak enough to die to the next Dustclaw attack. He switches in his Dustclaw to protect Vatorian, which works, but he wasn't expecting Pumpkin, which presents a new problem. Now he really needs to remove my Dustclaw before Vatorian comes back. He won't be able to kill Pumpkin here even with a double attack, so I'm going to shield Dustclaw and let Pumpkin do some work. Both attacks hit my shield, and my Pumpkin gets off a free fire AoE attack. Sparkane is gone, and his Dustclaw is nearly finished. He brings in a lucky Photofly. Super cool. Unfortunately, I'm going to kill it. Pumpkin's fire AoE attack is going to kill both of his beasts here. He'll hit my Dustclaw and kill it, but that's fine because he's down to just a half health Vatorian after this. And I know for a fact that his Vatorian won't be able to one-shot my Pumpkin. Now I have a 2-to-1 advantage, and I know for a fact that his Vatorian can't one-shot my Pumpkin. So if he attacks Pumpkin, Zephyrus will finish the job this turn. If he attacks Zephyrus, Pumpkin will finish the job in 2 turns. So we just need to attack here and we win. Despite making a big mistake in the middle of the match, I was able to still win against a great player because I predicted enough of his moves to gain an edge. This is why the strongest beasts don't always win and why Beast Brawl is so much fun. If you're new to Beast Brawl, I've got a referral link below. Make sure you sign up using that and you'll be able to earn yourself a free Grim Guard Kuroro Beast NFT.